And now we will go into a more practical aspect, because technologies and products should bring real value to businesses and ensure a high level of client service. And one of vivid examples is robots in contact centers. So I would like to introduce our next speaker, Elena Larina from Sber, Mass Personalization Division. And she's going to share her experience in implementing robots in telemarketing, and we'll speak about the challenges colleagues face and what achievements you have down this path. Elena, the floor is yours. Colleagues, hello, my name is Elena Marina.
Dear colleagues, good afternoon. My name is Elena Marina. I represent Sberbank. Today, I will tell you about AI in telemarketing, or the second name of my presentation is a robot that knows what you need. We're going to discuss promoting products and services and telemarketing. Now, the subject of today will also include the development of our business before robotics. The prerequisites for creating robotics development vectors and AI. It was perhaps not fully smooth sailing. First steps and mistakes were also made, and it's important to tell you about this as well. I'm going to tell you about our status today and Sber Robot, our AI telemarketing assistant. But before I move on to our channel, I'd like to mention the world practices and trends. On this roll, you can see a number of smart devices with voice assistants. These numbers are actually quite impressive. The key companies, market leaders, are actively using voice assistants. There is a case, according to McKinsey reporting, 53% of companies had already implemented AI in at least one of their business processes. This is McKinsey from 2020 report. Amazon had also launched Alexa custom assistant to allow companies to create their own voice assistants. Google installs smart displays Nest Hub with voice reception administrator function in hotel rooms. And this voice assistance helps hotel guests resolve all the issues we usually go to reception with. So the world experience suggests active development of this vector. We are no exception. Now, the prerequisites to the project. Telemarketing at Sber is actually the largest in Russia, with over 3,000 operators promoting our products and services. Accordingly, when we compare and benchmark ourselves against their competitors in Russia and Western Europe, we saw that we are 40% less. We see 40% less contacts with our customer base compared to our competitors. And in 2018, on this slide, you actually are now looking at the key takeaways, key research takeaways. And it became completely clear in 2018 that despite we're using an effective channel and benchmarking against competitors shows at least 2.5% X multiplicator on sales against competitors. However, we are using less communications with our customer base, and as a result, deriving shorter sales. And so the question that we faced was, what will come next? Should we increase the operators' resources or come up with something new? Maybe new developments. Those of you that are aware of call center operations know that this story of increasing increasing operators' resources are related to other issues such as infrastructure costs, location search, which will allow to provide for proper recruitment and resource utilization. Also, you have to work with the people, and we often face such issues as staff churn, recruitment, emotional burnout, retention, and at least in 2018-2019, the market trends suggested that the operator market is actually quite compressed, and strong competition exists between companies for operators. So, considering all of the above said factors, we decided that we needed a robot, and the robot we wanted should be very much alike an operator. He should be as pleasant as a person. So the goal initially was to use AI in our specific field, and in customer communications, the customers have to always hear a pleasant voice that makes them want to continue the conversation, continue to communicate. Also, the robot has to be as understanding as a person, so the robot has to clearly understand what the client wants and provide necessary answers to the questions asked. Also, certainly, we are all experienced business people, and business is the ultimate goal. And so, the goal of this project focused on the use of AI with clear economic effect, which could be compatible to the effect from cooperating with real-life operators. Now, the advantages of robots are unequivocal and clear. Certainly, we understand clearly that the cost of this service significantly below using human operators. The robots are effective throughout the day, with no interruptions. They're never in a bad mood. They don't get tired or sick and don't need a lunch break. As I also mentioned earlier in my introduction, the company never wanted to replace the operator with AI. That wasn't the goal. The problem was increasing this resource and attracting, including robots, into sales jobs allows us to free the operators for promoting more complex products, for working with customers in higher segments, in those segments where robots cannot provide for quality issues, for quality resolutions. So these were our initial expectations. But when we first started back in 2018, it wasn't all smooth sailing from the start. And now I will show you what the first calls with our assistant looked like. Can I speak to Denis Nikolaevich? Can you talk now? I'm working. Only quickly. Hello? The robot failed to respond to the client. Now, this recording presents the scenario where a number of algorithms had to be programmed into the assistant to resolve issues. Actually didn't work according to plan. As soon as the robot came across unequivocal customer answer, or the answer was too difficult for robot comprehension, the scenario ended with the client hanging up or leaving a complaint. And this was one of the key problems, because when discussing voice assistants, mostly today, Everyone, or at least the majority, are discussing the use of AI assistance in solving service issues, conducting surveys, also using voice assistant to work with active customers in the early stages. But full-fledged sales cycle inclusion of AI was not on the cards as yet, and we were innovators, the trailblazers, along this journey, which allowed to develop selling AI. After initial outcomes, we had designated the 3 key vectors for further follow-up. We realized the huge potential behind the technology. For this reason, this slide will present the 3 key vectors of development since 2019 and also continuing to today. These are the key skills that key robotics skills we were able to implement at this time. The first was the quality of recognition. Since the robots must understand unequivocal, complex phrasing to continue dialogues, presented active work, and we were actively following up these issues to avoid situations just as I have presented you earlier in the previous call. Our unit is into personalized customer offering. So every call performed by AI assistant is personalized in nature. This is not a generalized offer, so the robot has to be able to correctly make inflections on the customer's name and patronym. They have to be able to properly voice the customer offer. Trust me, these are simple things, but not every robot is able to use these simple tools even today. Another point that is not less important are the integrated solution. Telemarketing is the channel where it's very important during a call to provide for full-fledged RTM process. So the customer has to be provided with a service during a call. He shouldn't be routed to a branch, to a mobile app, but resolve the issue here and now and make the client service available to the customer. Today, I think we are still early along this journey, because out of the lineup of our 19 products, only 3 or 4 use independent robotic assistance. And certainly another very important case is the realistic voice. Quite often questions are asked. People say, maybe you should inform the customer that it's a robot calling. We think not. At least speaking of sales. We had performed testing, and when the robot initially introduced himself as AI assistant, we received practically 5 times more hang-ups or interruptions. So now our AI assistant doesn't introduce himself as a robot, and our job is to, as realistically as possible, to bring it across to the customer that it's an operator that's ready to help, listen, without specifics. Now, let me tell you more. Presenting you the number of tests we are now customizing with our robot assistant. Hello, my name is Alexandra, I represent Sberbank. Gennady Anatolievich, is that you? Yeah. It's a pleasure. We have some great and interesting information, important information for you. It will only take 2 or 3 minutes. Can you talk? Hello, my name is Maxim. I represent Sberbank. Vladimir Viktorovich, is that you? Yes, me. It's a pleasure. We have important information for you. It will take only 2 or 3 minutes. Can you talk? Is it a good time? I had now presented two voices, Alexandra and Maxim, that are now used. We actually certainly use a bigger range of voices than these two, but let me go into the mechanics. As I had mentioned earlier, our business telemarketing model is the scenario of working that works with personalized offers. And until the customers come to the sales channel, they go through segmentation of sorts, where we analyze their preferences towards certain products and whether it will present a viable sales online scenario. And so across different products, people react differently to male and female voices. For this reason, through various testing, we understand where it's preferable to use female and where it makes more sense to use a male voice. Also, we had discovered just in the last 6 months that, when you make an initial call with a product offering and the customer agrees, but then doesn't buy for some reason, then there is a second follow-up call to the customer to clarify the reason for non-sale and to finalize the sale. Accordingly, at this point, we clearly realized that with initial male voice and follow-up in female, or vice versa, this provides additional conversion, and using this mechanism, we can derive additional positive effect. Thank you very much for using bank services. So we are experimenting with the voice timbre and voice tones. I hope the technical environment will help you to hear the difference. Thank you for using the services of our bank. For you, Sberbank has prepared a special service. We are talking about Sber Premier service. You'll be able to see a personal manager on all the products and services at a good time. Sberbank has prepared a special offer for you, Sber Premier offering. You'll be able to contact your personal manager on any products and services at a good time. We're talking about service and products, Sber Premier. You will be able to contact a live manager. I hope you were able to hear the three. Unfortunately, if you had an unfortunate audio environment, let me tell you more that actually in numbers, experimenting with different voice tones across product offerings, we realized that effective tone of voice 2 provides us additional positive feedback from customers. They are prepared to listen longer, more, and respond to offers. So using the tone allowed us to achieve 12% growth on the standard outcomes. And right now, in the promotions we are running with male or female voices, we are using effective tone of voice 2. Second tonality. So this actually provides us to perform around 2 million calls per day. Certainly, these are non-unique clients. There is a number of technical limitations related to the pass-through capability, to the capability of telephone networks. But this is the number of calls and contacts we can achieve today. And it's important to note that with these boundless opportunities of AI, it's still important to preserve balance, status quo, because since AI is our assistant, we're still contacting people. And speaking from experience, I'd like to note that we are increasing the number of calls to clients. As soon as we do that, we receive negative feedback, because not to overdo it and to maintain communications policy. Now, let me tell you more about the results of the project today. I'm going to mention the three indicators. First is the CIR, the ratio of income to costs, and robot CIR indicator is 5 times lower compared to human operator. Conversion across products. We're not going to go into the whole 19 products, but the conversion levels are compatible. And around 6 or 7 products now do not use human operator services and are fully implemented through robots. Also, issues may arise on CSI. We also measure CSI levels for customers, and the indicators are also compatible to human operator outcomes. We do weekly monitoring on all of the calls, operator and robot both. Yes, we do have these calls. However, the rate doesn't exceed human, and sometimes it concerns problems, rejections of offers, clarifications, so very general subjects.
This gives us an opportunity to continue communicating through our intellectual assistant. And apart from all other things, now almost 100% of calls are done by robots on their own without operators. We started with 50% level initially, when the calls in half of cases were sent to operators, and it increased the cost of our contacts. The level of recognition is also on quite high level, 98%. Yes, there are mistakes, we fix them, but 98% is the result with which you can move forward. And according to our estimations, 67% of clients do not understand that they are talking to robots, fully thinking 100% that they are talking to a live operator. Concluding what I was talking about, you see that for us, indeed, this channel, robotized calls, is a promising one. Now 50% of our volumes go to robots, and more than 19 products are now on the shelf. Next year, we will enhance our product range, and we will not increase so actively the number of contacts through robots, because we will go deeper into the story where we focus on switching on robots for selling services during calls. And I would like to share our achievements of our intellectual assistant were not only highly assessed by us, but at the international competition last year, the best utilization of voice technologies award was given to our robot. Do you have any options in our cards or Spasibo product? Any comments? You helped me very much, Maxim. Thank you very much. So I hope that I did my best, like Maxim. Thank you very much for your attention.